because if he is, you can have him join us. He is an amazing advocate, a self-advocate. He's a coach. He's an international speaker. I'm sorry, I've got papers galore. There he is, looking all handsome and COVID bearded.
Hi, Tom.
Good to see you.
Good morning. Good to have you with us.
Likewise.
I love all the sculptures that men are doing. They're like finding, and it's like, well, today, and of course I've done it on my head. I just like keep shaving my head. But everybody's finding, my son the other day came down with these like, Abraham Lincoln lamb chops.
Yep. Yeah, the lamb chops, I've done that too.
Right. Everybody's having such a good time with the grooming thing. So you look handsome, you look good. And I was just mentioning that you do a lot of things, that you're an international speaker. And we got a bunch of things that we want to talk with you about, but I think we want to start with talking to you about autism and COVID-19. And what I know that you've got some things to say about what this is like for folks on the spectrum. Where do you want to start?
Well, and I know that with Black Lives Matter, George Floyd, and everything that's happening, I am happy to talk about any topic, be it something we plan to talk about or something that has come up. I am flexible as to what you want to ask.
Well, and maybe we should start there, Tom, since you brought it up, because I was just saying about how you and your mother have been at the forefront of teaching people how to teach individuals with different abilities to interact with the police.
Certainly.
But also training the police. You guys have been training the police too. Yeah.
And for those of the viewers that may not have seen or heard me speak before, I'm Tom Iland. I'm on the autism spectrum, and a lot of work I've done for a long time, about 20 years. I've been talking to police officers, starting with the Los Angeles Police Department, about autism, sharing my story and having them see that this is what a person with autism can look like. And there was a comment earlier in the chat here that you can't see autism with the naked eye all the time. So for that young man that got shot in the Palestinian region, he may have looked like he didn't have anything going on, but it's what happened still happened. So my mother and I have been training LAPD officers. One day an officer said to us, Emily, that's my mother, I could know someone has autism, but if they run, I still have to chase them. And if they fight with me, I have to fight back and win. So who is teaching the young people to not run and not fight? And the answer was nobody. So my mother, being the proactive person she is, decided to take it upon herself to make an entire movie called Be Safe. Be Safe, the movie, has scenes, images, and movies of people behaving and acting positively and appropriately with police, because we have discovered, my mother and I, that training the police is not enough anymore. We also have to teach our young people about what the police expect, how to identify them, how to follow instructions. Even if someone doesn't speak, that doesn't mean they can't learn. And people with autism learn from watching movies. It sticks in their minds. They'll play it out the way they remember it to a T. And that has saved lives. And my mother and I recently had a discussion with mothers of Black boys, or MOB for short, to discuss how we can incorporate Be Safe into the African-American community and the kind of things they're going through on a daily basis.
And I love that you guys are working the equation from both sides. I do believe that there are, and I have to believe that the vast majority of police officers are people that are in, just like teachers, they're in it for the right reason. And I want to believe that these people are loving and accepting of our kids, and that they are not racist and out for an agenda. But we cannot deny that, and I will not deny that, watching that videotape and watching 4 people, just stand there casually, I just can't even. So I love it that we're providing training, because I do think that there is that police officer, the issue that they have, that when they're in a situation, they have to respond, right? Like you were saying, and I love that police officer saying, whether he's on the spectrum or not, I have to pursue, and I have to, so I do think it takes training on both sides. I suspect it's going to take a lot of policing, though, because we can teach somebody something, but if we don't ensure that they utilize it on both sides, then we're not going to reach the place where we need to reach. So I love, I've been a big fan and have endorsed Be Safe the movie and continue to do that. I think it's a really important thing for us all to share with all of our kids. Where can people go to get it, Tom?
So there's a website, www.besafethemovie.com. And you can order the DVD there. It has 7 episodes, 1 hour in total. There's also a Be Safe Teaching Edition, which has the movie and a 300-page curriculum on a CD-ROM with lessons, activities, and games, if you will, and the script of the movie episode. So you can print out the pages you want as many times as you want and use that in your lesson plans. And the movie has Spanish subtitles. The curriculum is available in Spanish because in addition to African Americans, we look at the Latino community and the dangers that they may face. And we continue to train police. And my mother has the only evidence-based police training on autism in America. It was studied by PhD candidates, and the candidate data showed that officers were more competent and confident on how to handle people with autism. After that training, it's called Experience Autism. So if you go to www.experienceautism.com, you can access the police training. www.besafethemovie.com for tools, items, products, services about teaching young people how to interact with the police with and without autism. This movie can help anybody, really. And police love it. It's like, we wish everyone knew what was in this movie.
Yeah. No, I do think it's important. And I want to say too, that if you're watching this and you're a parent and you're like, well, I wish my police department would do this. I think in almost all cases, it was driven partially by a parent, that a parent, takes, you have the ability and the right today to call your local police department and say, hey, on a day when you don't have as much going on this summer, can I come by with my child and have you meet my child, and can they tour the police department and see your squad cars and introduce your child on the spectrum to them and to the squad car, have them, talk to your child, have them ask questions. And while you're there, ask them and say, would you be interested? I know there's a great training. If I was to help you to connect with some people, would you guys be willing to do a training? And I think that's how it happens more often than not, is that somebody in the community is driving it and saying, here, I had the benefit that most of the time that my son was growing up, we lived in the same community as Tom and Emily. We've since moved away, but I had the benefit. So my police department was already trained. And what an amazing thing that was, that my police department was already trained. So, Emily did that for our community, do that for your community, and utilize what Emily created. And that Tom, you've been a part of it too, and you help disseminate the message. And I don't want to belittle what you do, because you're a really important part of it, a part that the rest of us can't speak to, because it's that thing of nothing about us without us. And I think it's really important that your voice is in there being heard as well. So we love that. Check out Be Safe the movie. But now let's go back. And Nancy, anything I'm not letting you have an opportunity to speak.
No, I just want to reiterate how important it is to be aware of some of these safety best practices when dealing with the police. And this really can help young people know how to interact and how to keep themselves safe, which is so important.
And I just want to acknowledge some of the things people are writing in. Linda has said, thank you, Tom Iland, for your good work. Rachel is saying, hi, Thomas. I think it's Raquel actually is saying, hi, Thomas. I think it's great to give information to our first responders. And Amanda says, that's great. So maybe now we can talk a little bit about COVID, because this has been hard on everyone, but I think it's particularly hard for people on the autism spectrum. There are some different things that are hard. Tom, talk to us about that.
And I'll kind of segue from Be Safe into COVID here, because prior to COVID, my mother and I would go around the country uniting local police departments with the people with autism and other learning differences in their community and bridge that gap and build that understanding. And the local news crews would cover it. The parents would be there on the sidelines watching the magic happen and unfold before their very eyes. So with COVID-19, we have not had the chance to have these gatherings and build the community that we want, but we are still giving webinars, virtual presentations, and still keeping the conversation going, even if we can't physically meet. on that note, I want to say that I think what's happening right now with the social isolation, the high degree of uncertainty, the anxiety resulting from said uncertainty, is the potential for a lesson in empathy for the world to see and feel what it's like to have autism right now. Because people with autism have grown up our entire lives being alone, socially isolated, maybe making our own fun in the house, not going outside or hanging out with people as much or at all, and also not knowing when this is going to be over, if things can be back to the way they were. All of that uncertainty that the whole world is feeling right now, this is how people with autism are on a daily basis. So this is a brief synopsis, if you will, of saying, let me say, welcome to our world.
Yeah, it's a great, interesting viewpoint, Tom. And I think it's important that you know, people take a little introspection and take a look at that. It's interesting because some people are thriving in this environment and they're like, oh, it's so much easier to stay home. I'm okay staying home. I won't say that I'm thriving, but I do. I would rather just stay home the rest of my life. I would like to be able to. I would like to see other people. I would like to be able to hug other people. I miss everybody, but I don't ever want to leave my house. And people are writing in about their kids and saying the same thing. And for other people, this is interminable. And it's just like suffocating to them to not have that social in face to face. Like even like this is enough for me. For a long time. At some point, I would want to hug you guys, but this is enough for me to be talking with people and I can call people on the phone. But it isn't for other people. Other people are like, I'm not getting that social component that I need to feel my well-being. So you know, it's not equal and even for everybody. But you say that there's a way that we can increase productivity during COVID. Talk to us about that. I'd like to get more done.
So I consider myself a bit of an extroverted introvert. So I like going outside, seeing what's out there, taking on new experiences, but I'm also all right chilling at home, making my own fun and building myself from the inside out. So with COVID-19 and not having as many physical or group sessions or speaking opportunities, I'm still setting goals for myself. And more importantly, I'm writing down what I want to accomplish. And I'm going to introduce something that I've started doing that could help anybody that wants to continue to be productive or help yourself to know what you want to do and get things accomplished, even if you're not leaving the house. So you may have heard of vision boards. Like you take magazine clippings, you put them onto a board and it envisions like, this is what my future is going to be like. This is what I picture for myself. Well, I'd like to introduce to you vision carding. Vision carding. What I'm doing is every month I'm identifying 5 goals and writing them down on the cards here.
I'm trying to see what they say, but
it's June, so that's June, and then we get into July, goal 1 of 5, all the way. The months go by all the way to the end of December, goal 5 of 5. So as I complete the goals, I toss the card.
Okay.
And I have them here on my coffee table, so it's like, okay, I have to provide these items to this person, or this is something I'm going to do to build my business. This is a book I'm going to read by the end of the month. And speaking of books, I've been doing a lot more reading and less TV since COVID took place. I no longer watch TV during the day. I'm reading books. I have a whole shelf of them, and I'm starting to really look at myself and see where I want to go.
I'm curious what you like to read, Tom. I picture you being a self-help book person, that you're reading through self-help books, but is there, what is your genre? What do you love to read?
Personal development and self-help books. I just finished Unlimited Power by Tony Robbins. It's a very empowering book. I'll grab the one I'm reading off my coffee table here. My brother got me this one for Christmas, and I'm reading. It's called Thinking in Systems by Donna Meadows. So I'm starting to look at how connected we are in society, what is needed to make a system work, the elements, the processes, the outcome, or the purpose. How is that going to work, and how can I incorporate systems to increase my influence in the world, if you will?
Yeah. Now, Nancy, I used to read self-help and that self-actualization, kind of that genre that you're talking about. I used to read those all the time, Nancy, and I can't remember the last time that I got a self-help book. How about you? Do you?
Yeah, I'm reading a lot of novels right now. I've been going through about 2 to 3 novels every 2 weeks.
That's amazing.
So yeah, but I used to read a lot of self-help books, and Tom, you're kind of inspiring me to go back there. The Tony Robbins book sounds really interesting. Unlimited Potential. It's a good time to set personal goals. A really good time to set personal goals.
It is. And I love the idea of putting them on the cards. I think the last self-help book that I read was The Power of Positive Thinking. And in that, they tell you to put draw a picture on a card, on 3 cards, and put it in different places where you'll run across it all the time.
Right.
And so that you'll be reminded that that's something that you want. I have those cards. But I like yours too, Tom, that, that there's like 5, is it 5 per month?
5 per month, yes.
And then you toss it when you do it.
Mm-hmm.
So can you I don't want to get too personal, but can you give us an example of a card that you've been able to toss?
Yes, I recently competed in a Toastmasters contest. It's called the International Speech Contest. It's 5 to 7 minute speeches of what I want to tell the world. And I won at my club level and I won at my area level. The next level was division. I unfortunately did not win that. And so I wouldn't be winning the district contest. So I had to toss the cards that obviously wouldn't be happening. But the cards that I have accomplished, I was able to secure a nomination for a very prestigious award that I've been nominated for through a nonprofit called Junior Chamber International, or JCI, Junior Chamber International. It's a humanitarian organization. Its members are age 18 to 40, and they have a program called 10 Outstanding Young Americans, or TOYA for short, 10 Outstanding Young Americans. And I'm gonna find out if I win that in October. I've been nominated for that award. So that's a big iron in the fire I've got. I've also, through COVID-19, something that I accomplished, I've established what's called an advisory group, a business advisory group. My siblings and I are looking to have my financial independence be a priority, have a business to call my own a priority. So we have Tom's Business Advisory Group, or TBAG for short. We call it TBAG, Tom's Business Advisory Group. So they'll give me action items like develop a business plan, provide these items to us, or tell us what you would like in X, Y, and Z. And I write that down and then give it to them. And then we discuss it once a week or every other week on Zoom like this. So I can start to develop a business for myself and have my own money and be able to cut myself away from my parents in that sense. They support me. Like, I live in a condo that they own, but I pay them rent every month. But I know my parents one day are not going to be here, and I need to be able to fly with my own wings.
Yeah, I love that. And it's just like having a board of directors. You got to be answerable to people, and we all are, whether we realize it or not. I love that. People are writing in and saying that they are loving reading too, lots of novels, from fiction to things like How Can I Talk If My Lips Don't Move, which was one of the things that Temple Grandin recommended that we read. I got to be honest with you, I have had the same. I got a book out because I have boxes of books that I want to read, right? And I got a book out like day 1 of the isolation, and was like, oh, I love to read, but when I read to the distraction of everything else. Like I don't want to put it down, and I want to do, so I wait till I've got a little bit of time. I have not had time. I have not gotten to page 2 on that novel. I'm so jealous of all of you who have time to read. Okay. Someone is saying also the millions of specialist appointments that aren't nearby. It's free. So I love that providers can see my son in his home environment. And they said also the millions of specialists that aren't nearby. Many people have written in and said that they're getting to get telehealth appointments with experts that they couldn't have seen in person what a great way to be productive during this emergency. I love that. And they say that I love the telehealth appointments. And somebody else said, this is rough for me, especially the way our school year ended. I miss being with my K-3 students with autism because it's their classroom. There's been a lot of things that have been hard. Tom, what's been the hardest, and if you don't want to answer, don't, but what's been the hardest part of this isolation for you?
No, I'm happy to answer the questions. So the hardest part I've found was, and still is more or less ongoing, where my next paycheck is going to come from. But that's sort of an entrepreneurial caveat as it is. What I was able to discover through my own networking and through an actual random act of kindness, because I found that by forming a new schedule, new routines, or new ideas, more and better things are starting to come my way. So when I wouldn't know where the next paycheck was, I was talking with someone. She told me to file for what's called pandemic unemployment assistance with the California Employment Development Department. I'm thinking, well, wait a minute, don't you have to be laid off to get unemployment? And she says, no, you can be self-employed, still file. And if you can show that your business was substantially impacted by this pandemic, you could get some money for that. I said, all right. So I e-filed, sent in my claim. About a week later, they're saying, you're getting thousands of dollars every so often, and here's a debit card we're going to load the money onto. So I had all that uncertainty, like, oh my God, I'm going to run out of money. I'm going to be bone dry. But I found another way to keep myself above water. And it's ironic. I may actually be making more from this pandemic unemployment assistance than I did in all the other speaking engagements I was doing. So I'm going to do my best to wean off of that, or when the claim is done, I'm going to launch myself in another direction. But that is definitely the hardest part, is not being able to be in front of an audience, touch people on that level, be there physically with them, and be able to earn my keep. So I think that's been my hardest challenge, if you will, at this point.
There you go. Nancy, what's been the hardest part of this for you? You've been looking at this a little differently.
Right. I think it's been watching Wyatt, my son, have difficulties adjusting to not being in his regular schedule. As a child on the spectrum, he loves to have his regular activities and the things he counts on. And he just didn't understand when that was literally pulled away from him like a rug underneath him with no warning. Not being able to go to baseball, basketball, tutoring, karate, and having to do everything on Zoom. And not his main way of socializing was at school. So not having those things was a real hard adjustment for him. So that's the thing that's affected me most in this.
Yeah. And for me, I think the hardest thing about this has been that I've not been able to be with a few of my friends that like physically would have liked to have been with my friends, like Joanne Lara. And that, because I have health risk factors, we took the isolation very seriously, and because she has health risk, we took it very seriously, but that's been the hardest thing for me. So, it's interesting how different it is for different people, depending on, what your circumstances and where you are in your life. They're saying to you, Amanda has said, good luck to you, Thomas, and all that you do. And, we don't know when this is going to end, but we should let people know that you are doing webinars like Be Safe the Movie, and you are available to speak via long distance. And I'm sure, people are starting to get with it. And I'm sure that there are plenty of opportunities. I just got to do a keynote online, and I'm hoping that you're going to have those opportunities to do them online as well. And Tom is a great speaker, you guys.
Tom, what do you usually speak on? What are the topics you normally present on when you're doing your public speaking?
I talk about personal development as well as professional development, or what we call in the book that my mother and I wrote, Come to Life, we call it self-discovery. So I give keynotes about self-discovery. This is about knowing yourself, loving yourself, and being yourself. This is what people with autism need to hear. This is what parents, caregivers, allies of people with autism need to hear. So I give talks about that. I'm also a certified human potential coach. So I can ask you questions and do consultations, keynotes about how you can realize your full and true potential, really discover and tap into your own power and make the world a better place from it, regardless of the walk of life you may be from. And I've found some of my clients, in addition to people with autism, have been entrepreneurs, people that were in a corporate setting like I was. I'm a CPA and I left corporate America to do this full time. And people are starting to come to me, how did you get yourself through that transition? Or I'm thinking of leaving this financial job to do this, which is what I'm passionate about. What can we talk about with that? So that's how I'm available and how I'm continuing to make a difference virtually in the world, even if I can't meet you face to face. That is what I can offer.
Well,
Great.
I wish you could see what they're writing in, or maybe you can see. So Lori Hartdorf, and so glad that you're here with us, said awesome, and she said you can fly, Thomas.
Oh, thank
And
you.
they're all saying fly, Thomas, fly.
Oh, she's a good friend of mine, Lori Hartdorf. Good to hear from her.
And and they're saying good for you. Amanda says good for you, Thomas. Getting it done. So we absolutely love that. We're just about out of time here, but talk to us, Tom, about where we can go to find out more about you, more about Be Safe the movie, more about the book Come to Life. Where can we go?
So to summarize at the beginning, we had besafethemovie.com. That's for the movie tools, products, and services to help people with and without autism learn how to interact with the police. That's besafethemovie.com. We had experienceautism.com for police training and events related to training the police about autism. We have my website, which is thomasiland.com, where you can order Come to Life, book me for a presentation. I do take virtual presentations. And I'm in the process of forming my own business. So one day I'll be launching a website, it's not up yet, called cometolifecoaching.com. You know, life coaching, well, this will be cometolifecoaching.com one day. And that's what I'm going to be flying to.
You will be flying. Well, Thomas, we just so enjoy having you here with us and the work that you do. It's so important right now. You've been doing a lot of live feeds too on Facebook, I've noticed.
And this is something, we were talking about like forming new schedules, new habits, new routines for people with autism. So I knew I couldn't go out physically and give speeches, but I wanted to create new habits and new schedules and new routines for myself. So I decided every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 10 a.m., 1 p.m., and 4 p.m. respectively, I would go on Facebook Live, I pose a question or a topic for discussion, and I tell a little story or share my own experiences with that topic. And then I put it out there, okay, so tell me, what do you know about this? Or what's your experience with this? So I continue the thought and the conversation, even if we're not meeting in person. I'm also, if we want to talk a little bit about physical health, I'm eating out only once a week now. I used to do it frequently. I'm only eating out once a week now. And I've lost about 15 pounds in the last 3 months.
Good for you.
Improving my
You
health.
know what?
Eating more fruits and veggies.
Yeah, I'm really starting to feel like a slacker here, Thomas.
Nancy, are you eating out a lot through this?
No, we're not. We've been cooking at home during this whole pandemic. It's really opened up. We've been doing a lot of vegetarian dishes.
Yeah, well, I went vegan in the middle of all this because Anita Lesko encouraged me to, and I've been cooking up a storm. And my husband has lost weight through this. We've not ordered a single thing from a restaurant since this started. My husband has lost a few pounds. My son has dropped like 10 pounds. I have not lost a single ounce. I'm holding it all in case of emergency, I guess. And I'm exercising.
Still vegan though. How is the transition to being vegan been?
For me, it wasn't that hard because I was vegan for most of my adult life and at least vegetarian for most of my adult life. I had only gone back to chicken and fish and turkey like 4.5, 5 years ago. So it wasn't hard for me. I was just like, oh, okay, now I'm not going to have chicken. It's a little bit hard in terms of what we instituted at the house is that they could the boys could eat whatever they wanted for breakfast and lunch, but that I would make dinner and dinner would be vegan. And that was a little bit harder because it's so much easier to cook for them if there's meat involved. I had to be a little bit more creative because I love my vegetables. I got to be a little bit more creative to get them to eat their vegetables. And so we kind of have relaxed on that a little bit, that some nights it's free for all and they cook for themselves and then they can cook meat. But that was the hardest part. For me personally, it's not been hard. What's been harder is, and I haven't been completely successful, is that Anita's diet wants you to go off of all oils. And so I've gotten off of everything except for olive oil. And I just am having a little bit of olive oil from time to time, but I can't live without my olive oil. And the other thing is that you got to go off all of the vegan cheese. And I'm all about my vegan cheese now. So
why do you have to go off vegan cheese?
Because it's got a bunch of like ingredients in it that are not what's ideal.
Okay.
She encourages you to make your own vegan cheese, but that's a lot of nuts. And
and what do you cook with if you don't use oils?
She turned me on to this because I was like, how can you make vegetables with no oil? And she said, no. And I've got her book and it details it greatly. You just have to have a little bit of vegetable broth or water.
Okay.
And you get the pan. I have my good cast iron pan. You get the pan good and hot, and you put the vegetables in, and they sweat on their own first, and you get a nice little bit of caramelization thing going, and then you throw in either a little bit of water or a little bit of I've got this great organic veggie broth that I get now that's low sodium. Throw that in there, and if you want, you're building your base for whatever your flavor is. So sometimes soy sauce, other times other things, maybe a little lemon juice. See, you get me talking about food. We could go on forever. But it's great, and that part of it nobody has minded at all. But I'm still having the vegan cheese, and I think Anita's going to throw me out if I don't get it together. But I gotta have the vegan cheese. But we were talking about Anita Lesko's book. I don't think I have it here with me, but she's got many books, but you should check out her book.
Maybe while you're searching for that, one thing I've done that's given me a little bit of variety and also supports small businesses. Every Tuesday, I go to a local restaurant in my town and I take a picture of the food that I order. So recently I went to an Indian restaurant, and before that I went to an English restaurant. Before that I went to a Mexican restaurant. So I've got variety of all the different places I'm going to and supporting small business, and they're showing their gratitude. I got this card from an English restaurant in town saying thank you for your business, and they're still keeping themselves afloat through this pandemic. So I encourage people to support small business and not focus on those corporate fast food chains all the time, because I've taken out the corporate fast food of my diet and it's helping me big time.
Okay. They're asking Traven to pin the websites, and Traven, if you have the opportunity to do that, go through them one more time, Tom.
Sure.
And there's already somebody watching the show who would like for you to be on their show.
I love it. That's why I'm doing this. So the websites again, Traven, we have besafethemovie.com for the tools and services that help young people interact with the police and be safe with the police. Experienceautism.com for police training. That's evidence-based police training on autism. And finally, thomasisland.com. And there's no S in Island. I know people, they hear Island, they think Rhode Island and spell it out like that, but there's no S in my last name. So thomasisland.com for Come to Life and my services.
There we go. Okay, so we are well and truly out of time now, but I thank you guys for being here. I want to remind everybody to check out, I wasn't able to find Anita's book. It must be on the other bookshelf, but you can look her up, anitalesko.com. And but check out all of Thomas's things. And don't forget that later on today, if you are a friend of Joanne Laura, we're doing the celebration of life. To celebrate her life. It was her birthday on Wednesday. She wanted to have this party today. She's in the hospital. We don't get to have it with her, but we're going to have it with her virtually. So that's at the Ed Asner Family Center. Go to their Facebook page. It starts at the show. The center at home starts at 3 o'clock. The tribute to Joanne We'll start at 3:20. We understand that there is the potential for some celebrities, and Nancy and I will be there. So tune in for
Mhm.
that. Thank you guys for being here. We'll be back with the show on Monday. Don't let me forget to tell you that we have Temple Grandin on Tuesday's show, and she's going to be talking about specifically the topic of how do we find and feed our kids' passions. So that's going to be super cool. She'll be live with us on Tuesday morning. We got Bonnie Yates on Monday, and the rest of the week I'll clue you in on Monday. But until then, give your kiddos a hug from me.
And give yourselves a hug from me.
Bye-bye, everybody. Have a good
Bye-bye,
Thank you all so
weekend.
much for being here.
Thank you, Tom.
Hey, thanks for watching Autism Live. To subscribe, click here. And if you'd like to check out some more of our videos, click here.